This is the concierge, sir.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Concierge Confidential. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and in today's episode, I'm actually going to be talking about the New York, New York. I will also be talking about what it's like to go see the Backstreet Boys at the Sphere, and also in one little other stop that we made on our way to the Sphere as well. But we're going to be talking about the New York, New York Hotel pretty much at length in terms of it being like one of the more underrated properties left on the Strip. And then, yeah, just get into kind of the experience of all the stuff that went over Super Bowl weekend, because there was a lot. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking about all that and more here on Concierge Confidential. Okay, everybody, so let's go ahead and dive into the episode. So my parents came to Vegas, and if you didn't catch that, obviously you heard the last episode, which was surrounding more so the experience at Oscar's Steakhouse, which was great. And if you didn't listen to it, make sure you go back and give it a listen, because I thought it was really fun. And you can also check out the video of Oscar's on our Instagram page at Concierge Confidential _LV, or at our TikTok page at Keys to Vegas. So I'm going to be focusing on this particular episode talking about the New York, New York, just because overall my parents stay at the New York, New York quite a bit. My mom tends to get free rooms just because she likes to play slots, obviously. But I'm always really impressed about like the great energy that you get at the New York, New York. And people always are talking about like Vegas being too expensive, the gambling's too expensive. And honestly, yes, like a lot of parts of Vegas have gotten pricey, but I feel like some people are just being lazy and not trying to find some of the deals. And it's not that hard to find them. I mean, you can, honestly, all you have to do is go to places like Park MGM, New York, New York, Flamingo, Harrah's, and you'll find the deals. You just have to want to be there to do it. So we do like staying on that end of the Strip, like Park MGM, New York, New York, those two hotels specifically. And this time we stayed at New York, New York, and we got and this is actually another great example. So my parents ended up staying at my apartment on Thursday night, and then we checked into the hotel on Friday. So we had to do a lot of our props that day as well. So we got there about, I want to say 10:30, 11 o'clock. And again, this could be because, she got comped rooms from when she booked online. But we got there about 11 o'clock. We walked up to an actual person. This is a key. Go up to an actual guest services agent or front desk agent and check in with them, because things change. We were actually booking with, checking in, and they said, oh, well, your room isn't ready yet. It's probably going to be ready, closer around, 3, 4 o'clock, which we were expecting just because we know it's Friday and it's one of those things. And by the end of the entire transaction, and we didn't actually have to tip anything, they said, actually, your room is ready. And we were able to go up to our room and put all our bags there. And again, this is the key. You have to check in with an actual human being. My older brother, who came probably about 3 weeks ago, he ended up doing, because we're not going to go into how my brother books his trips, but he's bougie. But this is the thing, is that he travels, and this might actually be helpful for those of you that travel a lot with places that really value loyalty. But they don't really have like loyalty cards for this place. My brother loves to go to Disneyland. My brother, I wouldn't say is a Disney adult by any stretch of the imagination, but he does have a lot of kids. And he loves to take them to Disneyland and Disney World. And the thing is with Disney is that they are definitely the type of place where if you pay enough, you get what you want. Which Vegas is kind of like that, but much more expensive because it's for a lot more adults. But for Disney, you basically, when you book something and you book like the higher end thing, or, book it ahead of time or whatever it is, you get what you want. Like they set that apart and you get what you want. He went on a Disney cruise. That's how that worked. He, stays at Disney hotels. And when you book stuff with Disney, because they're all about like the experience, and if you pay for it, you get what you want. And you get like better, you get the expedited experience by paying for it. In Vegas, the thing is, we used to be like that, but because we have so much volume, so many guests to go through, that it's not so much about giving you what you want, it's giving you, one, what you pay for, but also to expedite the situation to just get you away from the front desk. So why do I say that? So my brother ended up booking, a while back, and he did the online check-in. He did the pre-check-in or online check-in or whatever, where you don't go to an actual person, you go to a kiosk. When you do that, you do not get the option to haggle your way to a better room, a better view, specifics on where you want to stay in, and you end up having to just get whatever is shot out at you. Yeah, sure, you could go back to the front desk, but that's after checking and seeing where your hotel room is, or seeing the floor is not as high as you wanted or low. So that is his biggest mistake, is that he thinks that paying ahead of time and doing this whole thing in Vegas, that you're going to get exactly what you pay for. No, you don't actually. You do have to really speak to an actual human being to specifically get what you want. So again, that's a little bit of a shot at Disney, but a little bit of a shot at Vegas as well, that you have to go for the human experience. Going to a kiosk in Vegas, you will always get the substandard service possible. So that got me off of the point of where we were talking about, but New York, New York. So the thing is, the rooms are quite nice. And for the most part, you get really good views of the Las Vegas Strip. We actually got a really cool view of the A Stadium being built, which some of you may not think that's like fun, but for my family, we love watching new construction. So it was fun being able to see the A Stadium of what it's gonna look like on that corner. You also get, a cool view of, MGM Grand and all that good stuff. The rooms are a little bit complicated. I'm not going to lie. This is not a good place to stay if you are somebody who forgets how to get to your room or has trouble finding your room, because there are lots of twists and turns because of the facade of the building. So that's number one. The other thing about this hotel, the beds are very, very clean on the inside. I think it's very clean, very modern. I think it's actually a much nicer stay than at Park MGM, because the rooms are very, very much missing or lacking any soul inside of those rooms, even though they do the job just fine. But New York kind of knows it's sort of hip and kind of cool, funky, and that's kind of reflected in their rooms they have, the rooms that they have. So it's funny, sometimes you get like a weird room that has like a weird pillar on the inside. That happened to us last time. But overall, the rooms are actually quite nice. I also do like their elevator system that they have. They actually have a system where you have your room key and you scan it at the bottom, and then you type your room number, and then all the elevators are automated. So they just come down, tell you where to go, so on and so forth. We never really had to wait that long for it. So that's like sort of the hotel sort of situation. But let's get into like the actual like dining and all the stuff that you would get at the New York. Before I get into the dining, the casino itself is very approachable. It's a nice layout. It's really tight in terms of slot machines, because they do have lots of slot machines in kind of a small space. But that's nice because you're able to walk through and kind of have different sections and remember where certain machines are, which is quite nice. And they do have very fun machines. I think they have a good selection of machines inside of the New York, new and old. It's my parents and my mom loves to gamble at the New York, because they have a double top dollar machine in the exact same spot every single time we go, which is very, very nice. It's nice to have that familiarity because, hey, if I know that a slot machine is at that property, I will stay at that property. That's the way that it goes. Then they also have the old school design, which most people do, of a center bar in the middle of the casino. But this center bar has so much more energy than places like the Chandelier Bar or like the Baccarat bar at Palazzo. This bar is actually like a really fun place to hang out. You get a good congregation of people there. They play a lot of music that I like to listen to, so like 90s hip hop, 2000s. They play mid 2000s hip hop, like Rihanna. They play like 3 songs from Rihanna. Maybe you want to mix it up a little bit. But it's really fun. You can walk up to the bar, get a drink. The bartender's very much like not going to spin you a great cocktail, but if you need a beer or like a 1-2 ingredient cocktail, they got you covered. They have TVs, so if you're watching any sports, you can stand around, look at, and watch the game if you want. Didn't watch the Super Bowl there, so I can't tell you what that experience is like. They do have some booths for like smaller, large parties. But I have to say, during March Madness and when it used to be the Pac-12 tournament, this place was the focal point of anybody coming from the game itself to party afterwards. And it can be kind of dangerous sometimes because if you get two different, teams at the same bar, it doesn't end well. But it's a great meetup point as well, like where you're going to be able to find people. It just pumps really good energy, very like early 2000s energy into that casino. And you also get a really cool mix of people there. Like you do get a lot of people who are, like middle America, totally fine. You get a lot of people there that are younger, who are there just, to have a cheaper place to stay and then go out to the nightclubs later. I have to tell you, this is like one of the most awesome places if you want to people watch or try to, hit on girls, hit on, some dudes, whatever. This is a place to do it just because you tend to get lots of groups here. Lots of single groups end up staying at New York. I have no idea why, but that is what you see kind of walking around, which is, cool, especially if you're in town and you're single and you want to meet somebody. It's a great place to do it just because of the close proximity to all the different attractions inside of this hotel. They also have a good mix of restaurants. So they have Il Fornaio, which is an Italian restaurant, very approachable in terms of pricing. Then you also have Nine Fine Irishmen, which is going to be more of an Irish pub. I don't really do like their food very often, but if that's an experience you want to go through, it's not bad. They have the Tom's Watch Bar, which is a really good place if you want to watch any games, preferably not during the Super Bowl, just because, again, you have to pay pretty decent amount to get a seat there. They have a terrible sports book. We do not come here if you're going to the sports book. That's actually why they built Tom's Watch Bar, because the sports book was so terrible. But they also have, what else do they have there? They have Gallagher Steakhouse, which honestly, not my favorite steakhouse. The meat's a little bit big for me, thick. It's not really kind of what I'm looking for in terms of what I want to eat from a steakhouse. But it's like super popular and people love to take a picture in front of like the live meat. And if you are somebody who likes to snack or you want to eat on the go or something very casual, this place, if you go into sort of its Times Square Greenwich Village area, has so many restaurants in such a close proximity, and it has a great like mid-90s feel to it. I love the New York that it feels very kitschy, but like in the best possible way. It just gives you like, hey, like, oh, this is like New York. Like, look, I'm in this area now. And it gives you it has its own style. I mean, it's New York. That's the style, but it has its own vibe to it. And I think that is the key. It feels like it has an identity, which is the biggest thing that I look for in a casino. And a lot of places like Aria, they really lack it. Resorts World, again, kind of lacks that sort of, vibe and identity that I'm talking about. But I love the New York that it has that. They have a great pizza place. They have a deli spot that my dad loves to go to. I don't like deli sandwiches, but I get it. My dad loves it. We know that he can get something to eat there. They have foot-long hot dogs. They have a cheeseburger place. They have a fish and chip joint. They have a bao bun spot. They have a Mexican place. The Mexican place is not that good. Gonzalez, I do not recommend. But they do have salsa there, later in the evenings. If you want to dance, it's not a bad spot to go. But with that being said, these are a lot of restaurants in one little space, which you can go to. Another really popular spot in there that I kind of regret to I skipped over it was the very historic dueling piano bar. People love the dueling piano bar, which again, it's open, it's closed but open to the rest of the public, where you can still hear the music. You don't have to be inside, and it puts off that really cool, fun party time vibe that we're talking about. And we haven't even talked about going up the escalators where they have the Coyote Ugly bar, which honestly is like cool for 30 minutes and then you go someplace else. But it's there if you wanted to have, that crazy sort of Vegas-y time. And also they have a food court upstairs, which I never eat at, right next to the Hershey store, which people love to go into the Hershey store. It's actually crazy. It's fine. But all this stuff is very doable walking inside of this casino. It's not massive. They only have about 2,900 hotel rooms, which is actually considered one of the smaller properties on the Las Vegas Strip. But I have to say, the casino part of it as well, kind of going back to where I was sort of started from, they have $10 blackjack, $10 craps tables. They did replace, which I like that they did. They actually used to have 4, maybe 6 craps tables. They took out 2 of them to put in an automated craps table where it's sort of hybrid. We have to get up and throw the dice. It's terrible. But they only had 2 craps tables at that time. Then they added a third, which now is on the far end side, which had $10 craps. So that's really, really nice. They have $10 blackjack, which I saw readily available during Super Bowl weekend. So I think this place kind of gets it. So I really, really appreciated what you saw out of the New York when I went. So if you are looking for some place to stay when you're coming to Vegas and you don't want to, break the bank, but you want a really good energy that you can kind of, we haven't even talked about the outside of New York, which has many places and it's also very close. It's essentially connected to the T-Mobile Arena. It's great whenever you have a concert sort of at that venue because then you could kind of get all the vibes as well. But I think the New York is one of the most underrated, great properties on the Las Vegas Strip. So if you're coming to Vegas soon, I would highly recommend staying at New York. This isn't a paid ad. Like, it really isn't. These are just honest thoughts on how I think about the New York. So that's where we stayed at. And then from there, we actually ended up getting an Uber to go to where do we go? To go see the Backstreet Boys at the Sphere. So this is my tip. This is my tip to everybody who wants to go to the Sphere, and you're wondering how do you get there. Kind of a rookie move, which then you get stuck in traffic, is getting dropped off directly at the Sphere. Don't do that. What I would recommend, if you can, when you're getting dropped off at the Sphere, to actually get dropped off at the Palazzo. The Palazzo or the Venetian. I would say the Palazzo better, just because it's a much easier access point into the hotel, and it's not as busy. So I recommend you get dropped off at the Palazzo. You're gonna walk in. You're gonna be at the front desk. You make a right, and then just follow the signs. I have plenty of signage on how to get to the Sphere from the inside part of the Venetian Palazzo. Really important to note that sometimes when they have conventions, that walkway will typically be closed. So sometimes you have to double check that the indoor walkway from the Venetian Palazzo is open to go to the Sphere. Really easy. You can ask around. You can ask the concierge. It's a good way of doing it. Or you can walk down. It's basically where the connection of the Venetian and Palazzo meet. That is usually where you walk through Restaurant Row, and then you'll follow the signage to where you can get to the Sphere itself. So we didn't go straight to the Sphere because my mom wanted to gamble, but I also wanted to have a cocktail. I wanted to get the correct amount of drunk before the show, because it's all about sort of like planning out the night. You want to remember things, but you want to, be loose. So I was kind of just riding the wave. So we ended up going, which I love going here because they treat me so nice. I really appreciate it. Kimmy, if you're listening, she is the lead hostess. And if she got another title, that'd be awesome. But she is the lead hostess at Wakuda, who really takes care of me. I walk in and she remembers my name, and I don't go that often. So it's really appreciated. Like, it's really nice. Like, if I was on a date, it would make me feel so good that they would remember me, because that's cool. So we walked in, and we almost never go to the restaurant part. I always go to the lounge, which has been rebranded as the Golden Ghee, which I think is great. Great vibes on the inside. There were a lot of other people there kind of getting ready for the concert. It has this sort of like loungy feel to its purple, very sexy. Just one of the sexiest rooms in Vegas. I love it. And then a beautiful bar with these like great big tall shelves that you can bring out, like this really cool. And I love that it's a Japanese restaurant, Wakuda, and they have so many cool takes on, classic cocktails. They also have a highball machine, which is like really, really popular, especially if you want to try a Japanese highball. But once I got in there, we sat at the bar, and we didn't get any food, but the food there is quite good. Highly recommend the food. If you love sushi, I've been told some of the better sushi in town. Then you're going to get all the sushi people coming at me saying, no, it's not, it's in Chinatown. Whatever, I don't eat sushi, so I'm giving them a free plug because they're nice to me. So, went to Wakuda. All the bars, this is a great cocktail bar. Like, if you want to try a cocktail, these guys got you. Like, they're always really excited to sort of experiment. So that's really fun. So, what I ended up getting, I got a regular old fashioned, just to kind of get the beak wet, get it rolling. My mom ended up getting, she always gets really fun drinks. She got the strawberry French 75, which was quite good. It does have, it's quite bubbly because it has champagne in it, and then it also had this like cool strawberry gin. Very cool idea. They actually, and I love this. They'll actually bring the bottle down and place it in front of you as a presentation, so you can get really good photos. So there's actually a really good place for doing that. But really good, very tasty, very strawberry. The botanicals were great, and my old fashioned was awesome. Then what did I end up getting after that? I ended up getting something kind of weird. What did I get? I got the Yokohama old fashioned, which was quite good. It was they used Toki Japanese whiskey, which was good. I'm not a big fan of Japanese whiskey, but I'll try it every once in a while. I do also think that the absinthe might have gave it a kind of a weird flavor for me personally, but it was quite good. Would I get it again? I don't know. I would just rather get a regular old fashioned. But one thing that we did try that we didn't try this time was the Wakuda Tiki, which has dark rum in it and all this other stuff, and it comes in a cool pineapple glass. Delicious. It's such a wonderful tiki drink. Sort of like a Mai Tai. So good. Fantastic. But here's a tip that I would like to tell everybody. My mom was looking at the different cocktails and was looking at them, and saw one in the non-alcoholic section of the menu. So she wanted to get the tropical cooler, which has pineapple juice, orange juice, which I didn't see the orange juice, but I'm okay with that, yuzu, coconut syrup, and grenadine. And she was looking at it, and she was like, I really want that tropical cooler. That looks really, really good. And I was like, oh, well, you should get it. But she's like, and obviously she wanted alcohol. This is the tip. It's not it's not a secret, but most bartenders can make any non-alcoholic cocktail into a cocktail with alcohol in it. And they'll also ask you what you would like to go in it as well. And then it becomes really fun. So typically with non-alcoholic cocktails, they will substitute or put something in it that doesn't alter the flavor, which usually it's going to be gin, vodka, and sometimes tequila. Tequila does alter the taste because it has its own flavor in general, but gin usually is much more botanical and is a much lighter note, so it's not going to have as much of overarching flavor to it. Vodka is sterile, it doesn't unless it's flavored, but most vodka does not have a taste to it. Us traditional cocktail drinkers do not recommend that you drink vodka. We usually recommend that you go with a gin-based option because, one, it is still the same amount of calories as vodka, which is sometimes why people like to drink it. And it's actually going to be a little bit better for you. And it has botanicals, and it's a little bit more, in the nose, if you will. In a good way, very slight. I don't recommend drinking gin by itself, though, personally, because I don't like gin by itself. But I'm just letting you guys know. But with that being said, they ended up putting this really nice gin based cocktail or gin based spirit into the tropical cooler, and it was funny because I kind of know what my mom likes to drink and if she's gonna like it and all this other stuff. The minute I tasted it, I was like, that is the best drink that you've ever had, and I think she actually said that. So the tropical cooler with gin was so good. And it went because the French 75 also has strawberry gin in it. So the bartender kind of knew to sort of stay in that route, which helped him out. Also got my mom a little bit tipsy, which was kind of fun to watch, because that was cool. But great time at Wakuda. Highly recommended. If you are going to the Sphere and you're going for a concert and you just want to stop and have a couple drinks, and you're more of a sophisticated drinker, I would say, cocktails, highly recommend Wakuda. They have a special lounge for you. They have a DJ, playing music, getting you in the mood. Wonderful. It feels very high end. It's great. Love, love, love Wakuda. So moving on to the Sphere experience itself. So we walked over to the Sphere. Takes about 10 minutes as if you go through the indoor walkway. Usually not too crazy. Sometimes it can be, but usually not too bad going through the walkway on the inside of the hotel, which I highly recommend because it's space. Clear bags, that's a whole big deal about it. Clear bags is a big deal. It was really funny because if you do get there early, there are multiple levels of merch. And I forgot to mention this. If you really, really, really want merch, but you don't want to have to carry it around all night, if you go early, the day before, even the day of, but you're there, earlier in the day. If you go to where the waterfall is at the Palazzo, go on the second floor, they usually stock it's sort of like this big empty space that rotates. It's an experience usually for whoever is playing at the Sphere. So they have, Kenny Chesney had one. F1 had one when they were there, so it's not, specifically the Sphere, but it was for F1. They had one for the Backstreet Boys. They'll have one for No Doubt. They always sort of change that space depending on whoever's playing. And anything that you buy on the inside of that space is what you would find at the actual Sphere itself. They usually don't have it for Wizard of Oz, unless it's playing for like an extended period of time. A lot of Wizard of Oz stuff you have to get, at the Sphere itself. But with that being said, I actually didn't get anything from the Backstreet Boys because a lot of stuff is white. That's sort of the thing as well. If you are going to see the Backstreet Boys in the next couple of months, they play a lot of music from their Millennium Tour, which is the CD that has the blue background with all the white. It's sort of like a whiteout. Everybody wears white to this concert. That is sort of like the uniform. Find your best white outfit or something that has like this very like futuristic look. I saw a lot of like denim and like blue, but light blue denim, along with, like the white shirts and all that other good stuff. Do with that as you will. But no, you get in, you go to the different floors. I would recommend, this is just my personal opinion, the floor, and again, I've told this to many people, the floor is honestly, worst place to be in the Sphere. Although, if you're going to go for the Backstreet Boys, I have to say, they're the ones that use the stage the best and the only ones that I've seen change the way the stage looks. It's still very similar. It's like this big giant oval, but they do have these these sort of like runways where they do go out to. But the closer you are, this show is probably the one that uses the Sphere the best in terms of energy. It's also one of the only shows where people stand up a good amount of the time during the show. But what I like about the Backstreet Boys, they play lots of music, lots of songs, and some of them are the top tier bangers and some of them are deeper cuts, which means it gives you plenty of time to go to the bathroom, which is what I liked about it a lot because I was drinking. But to me, the absolute best section to sit in at the Sphere is in the 300 section. Some people say, oh, it's the 200 section, which that's cool. That's more of like your bougie crowd if you're sitting in the 200s, but still you got to, it's not as a big section. But to me, the 300s is the best section at the Sphere. You get the clearest view of the stage. You also get a clearest view of the entire Sphere itself. And if you want to be specific, the absolute best section, we sat in 305, which I actually had a great time in 305, is section 306, which is the direct center of the 300 section. It's also the most expensive, so I like to go just off of center. But we ended up sitting in section 305, row 18, seats 1 and 2, just in case you wanted to know where we were sitting at. Again, the tickets are quite pricey. Like I'm looking at them right now. This is for the Saturday show on February 14th, so Valentine's Day. These tickets are $1,700 per ticket in the center row. And then if you go off center, these are $1,300 per ticket. Jesus! What are these people doing? So anyways, those are what the tickets are. I did not pay that because I was a responsible adult, because I actually purchased the tickets right at sales time. So this is actually a key to you, that if you really want to see an event at the Sphere, figure out its pre-sale date, figure out its sale date, get in line, purchase directly through Ticketmaster, and you can get the tickets that I got. Grand total $350 for 2 tickets. So the grand total was $350 for 2 tickets. So people always telling you like Vegas is expensive. No, you do have to do a little bit of work to get things at sort of normal prices. So again, just make sure that you're there when it's time to purchase tickets. Okay? Because obviously the longer it goes, you can also do the game where you purchase tickets the day of. But if you're the one flying to Vegas for this event, I think you'd want to purchase a ticket before that happens. But the show itself, super high energy. They started about 30 minutes after the listed show time. So they started about 8:30. The show time was at 8 o'clock. But well worth the wait. There is no openers. And they start off with Larger Than Life, which is a cool song. And you feel the beginning of this song. And every beginning of concerts at the Sphere is the best part. Unless it's at the end, because I love the end of this concert. But honestly, this was, to me, the best concert experience I've ever had in my entire life. Is the absolute best. Because I had so much anticipation. I have seen the Backstreet Boys before, but to this level of production and what went on the screen itself, I couldn't have thought it was going to be any cooler. I was blown away by how awesome this concert was. So it was so cool. I love this concert. Another little tip: if you are going to the Sphere and you get to the 300 section, which you actually go to the 3rd level, I believe, and from there, that's actually how you get to the 300 and the 400 section. So it's the very top level. Get off the escalators, go to the edges, the far edges of the Sphere, and that is where you get the much bigger bars, much easier to get up and get your drink, and it's going to be much shorter time to get your cocktail. If you're getting food, you have to go to the other snack bars. That takes forever. Go to the ends. That's where you get your cocktails. It's great. Everyone usually comes with a Sphere cup. That's going to be for any of the band that you're watching, which is cool. So, did I cover everything I wanted to cover? I think I did. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode. I had a lot of fun kind of reliving it, and if you guys can see the Backstreet Boys, it's so cool. This goes for any band. I would say if you're really hyped for a band, let's just say Justin Timberlake really needs money and NSYNC shows up, go see these bands, because this place was made for you guys to have a great time. If you like the music, you're going to be bopping all around. But I loved this show. So, thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Who knows what we're going to do without football, unfortunately. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, concertsconfidential_LV, or my personal one, Brian_Ortega26. I'm going to the movies this weekend. Lots of movies out, so make sure you check those out. Wuthering Heights, that came out. I watched it. It is crazy. So, with that being said, thank you so much, everybody. If I see you out in town, which probably won't this weekend because I'm single, if you do see me, come up and say hello. But remember, keep it confidential.